I'm G. Rose, and today we're going to be starting a series on a book called Belonging Again. It's a nonfiction work that I did in 2016, subtitle Amidst Confusion's Masterpiece from Macbeth. The book's going to talk a lot about the tensions of freedom and community and really focus on this question of how do we feel like we belong. And where if we are in a society where we don't feel like we belong, we can suffer from certain anxieties that can make us rebel against that society and threaten to pull it apart. It's really book's really indebted to thinkers like James Hunter at UVA or Philip Reeve, Durkheim, and these different A.J. Conyers and different people. In the beginning, kind of talks about how it asks the question of how can we belong again, and notes the tension of we today want to feel like we're part of a community, but communities are only meaningful and deep if they put restrictions on the individual. And we want to be free. We also want to be autonomous, and this creates a tension because we want to belong, but we also don't want any of the costs that come with belonging. We don't want to pay any of the prices of having our individual autonomy restricted. And so today, following some of the thinking, like someone like Durkheim, there's a sense in which today we're almost too free, where we almost have too much freedom. And the other problem that happens too is when you're free, then everything you choose to do becomes a reflection of your free choice, and so becomes a reflection of you. Everything you do says something about who you are, or at least that's what other people can think and assume about yourself. So freedom is very existentially heavy. It creates an anxiety of which then, to correct, we can want to return to community. And also when we feel like we belong, we don't feel as much of that existential anxiety. But then ironically, the very conditions that make belonging possible make us feel restricted and like we aren't free, and that creates its own existential anxiety. It's kind of like in the Disney movies where the princess is always trying to go out and escape. So when we have community, we're part of something, we want to leave, but then when we leave, we want to come back to community and have belonging. But you can't have both, and this results in trade-offs that we want to convince ourselves we don't have to make. And maybe though we're better off. Maybe we're not. We'll see following in part one that the conditions that make Bonhoeffer possible are also that make character possible. So in community, character becomes possible, and community belonging becomes possible. So an example of that would be like a man like Bonhoeffer, but also the community is what makes possible what Hannah Arendt talks about, the banality of evil. But we will talk about that next time.